it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts, UK independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Thank you for joining me again today, and I have to say, I'm filming this at the beginning of the week that you're probably going to be watching this, and it's a glorious day! So I'm trying to get lots of filming done this morning so I can go out into the garden this afternoon. It's February, for crying out loud, and it's beautiful. Anyway, so today I have got, apparently a piece of fluff on my card, I have got this card for you. This is using two of the sale-a-bration items. Obviously sale-a-bration, £45 qualifying order, gets you anything from the sale-a-bration brochure. That includes both the first release and the second release. So these are the second release items. This one is a level 2, so that needs a £90 order to get this for free. But these two are level 1 second release. Then we've got all the previously released items as well. Some of them have gone, so the ribbons have gone, and some of the others are under threat, but they're still hanging around for the moment. So this uses the lovely embossing folder. Can you see that? So this is just a piece of Whisper White run through the embossing folder. It is gorgeous. I seem to be using this an awful lot at the moment because I love it. And then I've used the lovely Lattice stamp set, which comes with this lovely large stamp and then this smaller one. And I've actually just used the large one, and I've stamped it on vellum and then coloured it from the back. So I've stamped it with Versamark Whisper White embossing powder and then coloured it from the back, and I'm going to go through that with you. And then just fussy cut it out and popped it on with some ribbon across the middle, and what a super elegant little card that is. And really not that complicated. It's basically just heat embossing and some colouring. It's a bit fiddly to fussy cut out, but other than that, really, really easy. This is the sort of thing I would do by doing the stamping and the heat embossing and then colouring them while I'm watching television in the evening. I do find watching television can be a bit boring sometimes because it's a bit same old, same old. So I do colouring. So I must just take a drink because I've got a very dry throat. I think it may be hay fever in February, for crying out loud. So that's a bit better. Right, so procrastination over. This one used just 3 blends. So it used the dark Mossy Meadow, the light Blackberry Bliss, and the dark Daffodil Delight. Now I used Blackberry Bliss, but I've actually put this with Rich Razzleberry. So Rich Razzleberry cardstock and the Rich Razzleberry velvet ribbon. Do you remember that from the annual catalogue? Do you remember the annual catalogue? It is still around. And then I've done it all on thick Whisper White. So, and as I quite often do, I've left the inside blank for the moment because I like to have on hand some cards just ready to go, and all I need to do is put the sentiment on. But if I'd have put Happy Birthday and I wanted this as a Hope You're Feeling Better card, then I wouldn't be able to use it. So I like to have them ready to go without the sentiment. So let's get started. I'm going to pump up the colour a bit. I'm going to go Flirty Flamingo. So vellum, piece of vellum card. Don't need those blends for the moment. I am probably going to use more blends. May not. Well, I mean, I have done a bit of prep, so probably going to use more blends. I've got Light Poppy Parade, Dark Granny Apple Green, Dark Flirty Flamingo, and the same Daffodil Delight. But the first thing to do is the heat embossing, so I'm taking my embossing buddy as ever, and I've just got a 1/4 sheet of vellum here, and grab my stamp, and I'm just going to ink up the bit that I kind of need, which is, it's not the whole thing. So if I bring back in the stamp set, it's these larger flowers, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one of them I used separately. This one I used separately. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I'll show you how I cut them in a moment. So I'm not too worried if I don't cover the whole of the stamp with Versamark, because it doesn't matter. Now you can actually get 2 of these onto a 1/4 sheet, but for ease of showing you how to do it, You literally just, as ever, just stamp down and just, you know, be reasonably firm. It's a large stamp. I've got that stamp on an E-block, so that just shows you how large it is. Then white embossing powder, and just dabble that in, tap off as ever, and that's that done. And then if I grab my trusty cheese board and my heat tool, I'll just warm my heat tool up. It's always best to have your heat tool ready to go, so hot, before you actually heat. Now with vellum you can do that from the heating from the back. It's possibly a little safer, but so that you can see it and so that I can not have to worry about holding my vellum in the air, I will use my trusty cheese board. So as ever, I do not do all this, you know, rifting around. I find an area, wait for it to melt, and then move on. It's exactly the same process on vellum as it is on card. It's just you're ending up with a softer outline, or softer general result. Now, you don't have to colour. You could just cut out the areas that you want and leave them plain, but I like the idea of colouring, and I want to show you how I would do that, because there is a trick. That's just not melted just completely, so that's some of it. This is a very easy embossing powder to make sure you have melted, because it does go glossy, glossy, glossy. So if it's not glossy, it's not fully melted. Right, turn that off. So, wafted my grid paper a bit, but that's fine, it'll calm down. So that is, I'm just going to make sure it's properly dry, because it is damp when you first melt the powder, because it is, you are melting it. It's not, it's some physics thing. I'm not the physics person in our family. Right, so you colour from the back. Now, here's a tip. I have got an old piece of, it's actually chocolate chip cardstock. It's much easier, I find, to colour with a dark background rather than a light background, and I will show you what I mean by that. Now, I'm going to start by putting the centres of the flowers in. And as I say, I'm on the back, and all I'm doing, you can be really quite splodgy. You don't have to be particularly accurate about what you're doing at this point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one up here. You've got quite thick lines, so as I say, you don't have to be too accurate. Then, actually, that's it on dark cardstock. If you come in and try and do it on just on a plain background or a pale background, it's much harder to see where the lines are, and that's really what you want to see. You want to see where the lines are rather than where you're colouring. So long as you stay inside the lines, you're going to be fine. So you literally just come in with your alcohol markers. You can use Stampin' Right markers, but the blends are much easier to use. The Stampin' Right markers will make the vellum curl, so that would be my only hesitation with using them. For these ones I am going to do a bit of shading, so this is my light lovely lipstick. So I'm just adding something where, this is light, isn't it? Yes, sorry, light Public Poppy Parade, not lovely lipstick. So I'm just adding some colour where there's a shadow, if you like, and then coming in with my dark Flirty Flamingo, and I am going to use the brush end, and I'm just going to colour in, and you can go over the lines because it's all hidden by the embossing, and just come in and try to not have an actual line. Now, what do I mean by that? So if I pop some colour there, and then come in with my Flirty Flamingo, I could end up with an actual line between the two colours, particularly if you've let it dry. But if I remove my card and then turn this over, can you see? It's so pretty. However, it also takes a wee while. So, fussy cutting we've done before, but just for so that you can see it happening. Let's cut that piece away. All I would do is come in with my snips and move the card, not the scissors. So all I'm doing with the scissors is opening and closing them. And then with the card, I'm moving the card round so that it's just easier to control if you move the card rather than the scissors. Trying to get in there and then come round. I'm going to try and do this, but I'm so used to doing it the other way. It's just a bit, it's just awkward. So, really easy to do, however, particularly with the embossing, because you've got a wider line. But I have done a good old Blue Peter, and here's one I prepared earlier. So, you will remember that I have done my Top Tip Tuesday on mats. So I've got my 8.5 by 11 sizes on a book ring. Now I'm unlikely to actually ever use these because I don't have 8.5 inch by 11 paper, but I have done them. There is it's Top Tip Tuesday on the 26th of February. There's the measurements that I've got for my mats. Then I've also got for A6 card, so my card base for this card is a piece of A4 that I've cut in half, makes it A5. When I fold it, it will become A6. And I've got then metric, so centimetre measurements for my mats. Or, if you're an imperial girl like me, I've got my A6 but with inch measurements. So, I've got a mat that is 5 5/8 by 3 7/8. And I've then gone 2 mats further. So rather than having the next size, I've missed one because I want a wider margin. So if I show you here, I want this wider margin. So I've missed one, and I've got 5 3/8 by 3 5/8 to make my mat. And that gives me a 1/4 inch gap, because I've taken 1/8 inch. I've got the right size, haven't I? Oh no, I've gone even smaller. No, I've missed 2. So I've gone 5 1/4 by 3 1/2. So I've got, let's do some mathematics here. I've got more than 1/2 inch difference. More than 1/2 inch? No, just under 1/2 inch difference. More than 1/4 inch is what I meant to say. Difference between my mat and my my 2 mats. So I've got, I think it's 3/8 inch difference. So you can just use these to go, I want a piece that's, you know, got a bit of a wider margin. Which size do I want? And you can layer them up. And because these are on a book ring, you can actually take them out of the way, bring in the one you want, and play with it and see, yeah, that's kind of the one I want. Obviously you can take them off the ring if you want. Anyway, that was a real procrastination, wasn't it? So, the measurements obviously will be on my blog, which is linked below, so if you go to the associated blog post. So I've got my country floral embossing folder, and this is one of the deep embossing folders, and just pop your piece of paper in. Doesn't need to be particularly straight because this isn't a definitely up and down pattern. And then you want your standard big shot platform and a cutting plate. This is a very old cutting plate which I keep just for running embossing folders through, because it doesn't matter that it's a bit bent. So, and then you take your embossing piece out, and it's gorgeous! Look at that! Isn't that just stunning? So, I had a piece of ribbon on my original. As I say, I had the rich raspberry velvet ribbon. This time I've got Flirty Flamingo, and I've got the Flirty Flamingo from the Love Suite from the spring summer. That's, can't remember what it's called. All My Love. All My Love? Yes, All My Love. So it's the All My Love ribbon combo, which is Lovely Lipstick and Flirty Flamingo. Really lovely. And I've got this, I happen to have just this piece left off a reel. So, first things first, I'm going to adhere my embossed piece to my mat using liquid adhesive for two reasons. A, because this is embossed, it's quite difficult to get a dry adhesive to be on the surface because you could be going into the bumps. And I tend to use more glue on an embossed piece than I would on an ordinary mat, purely so that I know that it's on the raised surface. But I also use a wet adhesive, or liquid adhesive, because it means you're less likely to squish, technical word, squish the embossing that you've just very carefully put onto your card. Because if you went on with your snail, you could end up squashing your embossing. So, somewhere I have got, there we are, some tear and tape, and I'm just going to take a couple of small pieces of tear and tape and turn my mat over and just line it up on one of the pieces of grid paper, or one of the lines on the grid paper, pop my tear and tape down, make sure that's properly adhered, and lift it off. I've just cut my fingernail, so of course now I can't lift anything off. So just lift those off, come along. Ooh, trying to lift the tear and tape off the card is not quite the plan. There we are. Right, so I'm going to actually cut this, but I'm going to start by running one piece round. Will I be able to get it round in one? Oh no, I can actually do it in one whole piece, so that's fine. So I won't cut it because there won't be enough left to do anything much with. So let's line up so that I line up the top onto the thick line, and then across the back I can come down and line up to the bottom of the ribbon, and then again just line up with the bottom of the ribbon. Oops, come along. Or not. So, you know, there are moments when you just think everything's got 5 fingers and 5 toes. And then we've got this double row of ribbon. And then all we need to do, I might as well adhere that to the card front now. So fold my card base, which I have previously scored, and just burnish. My brain is gone. Burnish with my bone folder, and then just a squiggle of adhesive around the outside of the mat, maybe a bit down the middle just for good luck, and then pop that on my card base. And then I've got my cut pieces. I'm going to have one piece here so that it's coming over the ribbon, and then I'm going to pop the other one just here again so that it's over the ribbon. Or I might actually this time pop it there. Yeah, no, I think I might pop it there. Just may tuck it in actually. Oh, I like that. Right. Yes, okay. So I'm going to change it slightly. So the previous one I had the larger piece flat and then this popped up. This time I'm going to do it the other way around. I'm going to use the small mini dimensionals, because you can then pop them behind a very heavily embossed piece of your floral to hide the dimensional, and then pop those off. Come along. And can you see that you can't actually see your dimensionals really? So pop that, just want that coming over the edge there, so pop that there, so that's popped up, and then we'll get this with some snail, if I can find my snail, which I've now buried under the stamp set. Just again, right where there's that piece of heavy embossed for the centre of the flower. Or you could use a mini glue dot. Just pop that there, and you've got a really pretty little card. So let me bring the two in. So they do actually, you know, one is much lighter and brighter and one's more subdued and probably what I would call grown up. All made with things that are basically free. So I hope you enjoyed that. As I say, £45 is your magic number. For every £45 you spend before P&P, you can claim a free item from the sale-a-bration brochure. If you spend £90, you can either get 2 free items or 1 level 2 item. There's level 1 and level 2, so 2 level 1 for £90 or 1 level 2. If you order before the end of February, she says, doing her mental arithmetic and hoping we're still in February, and so if you order from me ideally using the host code, you will get stamping rewards from me. Sorry, yes, rewind. If you use the host code when you order from me, you will get a share of the stamping rewards. If you place an order using the host code that is at least £30, you will get a sunflower reward. When you've got 10 of those, you get to exchange them for up to £30 of product. And until the end of February or while stocks last, if you order from me online, you will also get a lucky dip item, which is basically brand new but retired product, and that is an extra gift from me to you, and that goes on top of the usual thank you card, thank you gift, stamping rewards if you use the host code, sunflower rewards if you use the host code, etc. Thank you very much indeed. I should say all that information is on my website, which is linked below in the description bar. Questions or comments like, good grief Liz, that was farble garble, I would love those in the comments below. If you've got a more complicated question or want to just be in contact on a personal basis, then my email address is over on my website. Thank you very much indeed. If you enjoyed the madness, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!